Jennifer Seelig is a seasoned news producer. She has worked at several stations in San Francisco and Sacramento. Jennifer got her start at KOVR television in Sacramento, then moved on to KRON and ABC 7 television in San Francisco. Jennifer Seelig has found her home at KCBS Radio and has been there since 2001 as a news producer. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. So first off, how do you feel about Twitter and blogs covering the news nowadays?
I think it's a double-edged sword. I think that in a lot of ways it's changed the news business for the best, but in a lot of ways I think it's sort of infringed on the traditional journalist. When I first started, I was very much schooled in having to get multiple sources, having to confirm things multiple times before we'd go on the air. Yeah. And in the Twitter era, that doesn't happen as much. Things are instant. And if we don't get on the air with it, someone's going to read it on Twitter. So in a lot of ways, it's good because it spreads information very quickly. But on the flip side, we may be losing some of the journalistic integrity that used to exist. But all the same, everyone's doing it, so I sort of feel like you have to get on board with it.
And you guys do that at KCBS, correct?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. And what we try and do is find a good balance of giving information, not inundating people. We don't want to flood their Twitter feed, but all the same, we want to make clear that we still, even in this new era of social media, that we are the go-to news source.
And you always make sure to confirm before you guys tweet out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What are your hours like at KC?
I work early morning hours. I work 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. a couple of days a week, and a couple of days I work 5:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
So what time do you have to go to bed when you get up at 3 a.m.?
What time do I go to bed,
yeah.
or what time should I go to bed?
Yeah.
I tend to stay up later than I should, but I want to have a normal life.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I have to get up at 5:30 for my internship.
It's early.
It's so early.
Yep.
Yeah. Or no, I have to be there at 5:30, not get up at 5:30. Yeah, it's definitely so early. How'd you get your start in the industry?
I started years and years and years ago. I have always been interested in writing and storytelling. I love to do interviews. So when I was a freshman in high school, I started working for the local newspaper. I was a campus correspondent.
Oh, wow.
And I loved it. I got to go around school, interview people. I got to write columns and articles. I learned what a deadline was like. I learned what would happen if you missed a deadline. And I was just hooked. So when I went to college, I started doing internships in television, just figuring that was the best way to get my foot in the door. And
so you knew what you wanted to do early on. That's
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I worked, or I did like yearbook and stuff, but I didn't know what I wanted to do until I got into college. So what have you learned being in the industry so long?
I've learned so much. Writing style I think my writing style has evolved over the years. I probably wouldn't want to look back at some of my early scripts. I'm sure they're floating somewhere in a newsroom in San Francisco or Sacramento. But I think I've learned great writing skills, interview skills, people skills, and also, deadlines. Again, I think that's so important just in life to appreciate those types of things. And I've definitely gotten a taste of working under deadline pressure.
You mentioned to me earlier that you met your husband at work.
I did.
What does he do?
He is a reporter and an anchor for the station. He also does some producing. And between the two of us, I think we've covered every job in the newsroom.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's your favorite part about working with your husband?
Wow, I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. We only have 5 minutes here. I got to think. I think people who work in the news business tend to have just an addiction to this adrenaline rush, and they just really love to tell stories and be in the thick of things. And I think he and I are similar that way.
That's awesome. You guys definitely have some interesting, you guys can go home and share interesting stories.
Yep. And we always, we'll watch the news at night and we both notice the same things, or we mention the same thing. Oh, did you see they did this, or they forgot about this, or they did, any number of things.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today. You were so great, and I learned some great things from you. So thank you, Jennifer Seelig, and we are out of here.